when you're almost 40, you want to evaluate your beliefs. You want to figure out, does this actually fit who I am? And that's the true gateway to freedom. Understanding your beliefs, understanding they still serve you, and then keep moving towards your destination and your goal to happen to be there. So I hope as you're looking at Reese Witherspoon, how can I transform myself into the Reese Witherspoon of the thing I love, and see how we can go make it happen.
Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, the ultimate destination for accredited investors and entrepreneurs seeking alternative wealth-building strategies. Discover how to fast-track your journey to wealth and time freedom by thinking outside the box. If you're ready to join the ranks of the Contrarian Capitalists and learn the most effective ways to reach your financial goals faster, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. I'm your host and your favorite silverback, Sylvania Harrod. And on today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you about an actress by the name of Reese Witherspoon. So I would before I dive into like all the business ventures to be able to be there, I want to share about one of my favorite movies that I just love watching. It's a movie called Sweet Home Alabama. So I remember the first time I saw Sweet Home Alabama and being able to go there. It's a movie that if I catch it on TV, my wife knows I'm going to watch the whole thing to be able to go there. I love it. I loved just how like genuine she seems in the movie, and just knowing different people that have worked in Hollywood. She's just an overall good world-class human being to be able to be there. So I remember hearing about all the goodness that was happening with her company, Hello Sunshine, and I just thought it couldn't have happened to a better person. But as I always do on the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, I want to share with you some of the things that are happening in the business world that you can be able to take and implement into your life today. Because it's great talking up in the clouds and talking about things that happen to be there. What's even better is if you can actually take it, use it, implement it. And my job is to give you information and access to what some of the most sophisticated people in business are doing, that so you can use it today. And you can understand why you're creating a roadmap and knowing that your dreams are possible. So Reese Witherspoon, who's known as being an actress, realized at some point in time that the real game in the media world, or like media and entertainment, is actually being on the production side of the house. So what Reese Witherspoon was able to do was she was able to create a platform where other female-based writers and authors could be able to share their different ideas of what they want to do. Because she wanted to help more women be able to tell female-driven stories across film, television, and digital platforms. So more power to her. That's one hell of a thing to be able to do. Talk about having a clear and defined vision of what you want to do. But I'm going to share with you some of the things that you don't hear about as to how that process goes. Any business idea is great. You can be able to bring it, especially if you have mission and purpose and you want to design that. But the sad truth is, if you do not have capital to bring that to fruition, the amount of impact that you really can deliver is going to be drastically limited because you're not able to be there. And so in the movie business world, what ends up happening is you have script writers. They write different scripts. Then these are pitched to movie studios. Movie studios will then look at it and say, okay, they want to understand, great concept, who's going to watch this? And they are a business. They want to understand, if I am willing to put out $60 million, what is the expected return of this movie? What are you expecting to be able to receive from it? If it's going onto like digital platforms, okay, what can you sell at the digital platforms, and what interest have you seen? If it's going to traditional, like more like we look at a distribution when it comes to like movies, and you're going to do a cinematic run and go through that stuff, what's the expected return? What's the audience there? And then here's the thing. Movie studios don't typically have lots of cash sitting around. What they have is they have investors. Investors are the ones who go ahead and are the people that make it all happen. They got to raise capital because $300 million to record another Avengers movie is not a cheap thing to do because you have to make payroll every week. You have to consistently go through there. So how does that made possible? Well, Reese started to understand that game a little bit. She goes, "Oh damn, if I create my own studio, then I can skip that process of going to these other studios. I can get all the data points because what happens is when you sell the rights to that movie or show or anything like that, who's going to get the greatest reward of it? He with a capital has the power. I want you to remember that. He with a capital, you can be she, I'm not going to be sexist or anything like that, has the power. What Reese did was like, how about I just skip that process of having to go studio to studio to be able to be there? And she also didn't rely on her having to create all these different concepts. If I build a platform where people are able to share their stories, I can cherry pick the best stories that I know has already built lots of fanfare inside of my own community. And then if I have investors on my side who already have relationships, then I can cut out the studios that needs to be there and be able to do the things I need to make happen and have the direct relationships, which is a la. When she started the company, there was two key people that were involved inside that group. One of them was called like Auto Media, which is also part of AT&T Warner Media. They saw her vision of what she was looking to do, and they're like, all right, we'll put money into there. There was the second person, was this group called Emerson Collective, which is led by no other than Laura Powell Jobs, Steve Jobs' wife, who at that period of time was the largest shareholder in Disney. Yeah, but you didn't know that one. So guess what you now have? You have distribution. You got Warner Media and you got Disney, you got the mouse. As far as that happens to be, and you have the capital to go ahead and build a platform required to be able to be there. So as they started building it and they started kicking out things, there was a little show called The Morning Show. It happens to go on Apple. I'm so surprised that Apple TV Plus got the rights to that show to be able to be there. I don't know how that possibly happens. Now you see what I'm saying. She already had distribution. She already had things there. So those private equity injections in the beginning helped it build its momentum, because the basis of going ahead and having shows is that the person who owns the right to the shows will pay for the pilot or the first couple episodes to see if it's actually valid. Once it gets valid and starts building momentum, then you're good to go. Well, the great thing is you have capital. You don't have to worry about that. So she goes through that process. They start building more momentum. And then that's what ends up happening is that other larger private equity banks want to get involved, which is why they had a $900 million valuation, and Blackstone gave them a large chunk cash to help pour gasoline on the fire that was already burning. So you got to ask yourself the question. You're like, damn, I don't know Laura Powell Jobs. I don't know an AT&T Media to be able to be there. How in the world am I going to take this and implement this into my business of what I'm doing today? First things first, have a clear and defined vision of actually what you want to do. Start looking at your market and evaluating for what it is, not what you want it to be. You have to start thinking like an investor. You have to start looking and move yourself to a 10,000 foot purview so you can see the whole forest, like you're Simba talking to Mufasa. Look out over the Pride Lands, see what happens to be there. Now you're at a point to realize, damn, is doing what I'm doing going to get me to the levels of wealth I really want to be at? Probably not. And that's okay. Because guess what? Chess players need chess pieces. And the sooner you get to realize, shit, I'm a chess piece. damn, I may be the chess table that they're playing on top of because I'm not even in the game. That's okay. You have to have a clear and defined vision. Reese saw it clearly. She said, being in this world of like just being an actress, I am capped, especially in a world of Hollywood that cares what you look like. You're not seeing many women over the age of 50 getting super high lead roles unless you're Sarah Connolly in Top Gun Maverick, but she's lead female role, but that ain't the norm. So what game do you have to begin to play? Get into the production business to go there. So let's just fast forward and let's look at it like, okay, today, be able to do things. If you are in the world of being a coach, a consultant, somebody who's delivering revenue to a company, guess what? You can either be in the world of like just being advising, helping them be there, or you can bring them to the people who have the capital. Maybe you start working with different private equity firms. So what some people do is they bring me in and they say, hey, I know you have access to lots of capital. How can I begin to do that? This client is really growing. Similar to like, this person has lots of potential. I want to broker the introduction to be able to make that happen. And then you bring me in. And what I'll do is I help you understand, all right, great. Here's how you grab an LP stake here. Here's how you go through these different processes. Make sure that if you're bringing the capital, you get a piece of the pie of like the return they're looking to get of how much they raise. Because that doesn't happen without you in the relationship and you listening and connecting to me. Because that's what I did. It's the same thing. You can do the same world. You can be the person that goes ahead and plants the idea inside of Reese Witherspoon's head, saying, that's one hell of an idea. Let's make sure we can back it with a good fund and be able to have that structure. Or you can be the person who has the fund that you can set up and establish and structure it. That's one outlet you have there. I'm here to tell you there's so many different options. You can move into the world where you're advising, you move to a consulting for equity model that you're able to do with your clients to help them grow and scale and small, like you're investing in them because you're giving them even more of your human capital because you want to deliver results and you're tied to the increase in profitability you're able to deliver them. That's another way too. There's limitless ways, but the surefire thing is, if you're not raising your own lid, you're never going to understand these things. You're never going to be able to be there. And it's okay. Because guess what? Maybe that's not your role in what you're looking to do in life today. That's fine. You got to identify what matters to you. What kind of life do you want to live? I kind of relate this towards like, most of the time our beliefs are given to us. Beliefs are like wearing somebody else's clothes. So you spent time around your mom, your dad, grandma, auntie, uncle, best friend, etc. They gave you certain beliefs. But have you ever picked out like what clothes you actually want to wear? Because if I try to wear clothes that I had in my early 20s, my belly gonna be hanging out. That ain't gonna fit. Same thing comes in life. When you're almost 40, you want to evaluate your beliefs. You want to figure out, does this actually fit who I am? And that's the true gateway to freedom. Understanding your beliefs, understanding they still serve you, and then keep moving towards your destination and your goal to happen to be there. So I hope as you're looking at, and we're looking at Reese Witherspoon, how can I transform myself into the Reese Witherspoon of the thing I love? And see how we can go make it happen. So as always, you can find me on all social media platforms at Sylvania Harrod. Message me, DM me, figure out different ways. If you want to learn more about the fun game, send me a message. I'm here to help and see how I can be able to serve you. Have fun, stay grateful, my friends, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, rate, and leave us a review on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more people ready to explore contrarian investment strategies. Stay connected with us on social media for more expert insights, behind-the-scenes content, and updates on upcoming episodes. You can find all the links in the show notes. Until next time, stay bold, think differently, and keep pursuing the legacy you deserve. Thanks for listening to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.